There are songs that you listen to, and then there are songs that happen to you. We all know the feeling. You're driving in your car, or you're walking through a grocery store, or you're sitting alone in your room at 2 a.m. And suddenly, those first few piano chords hit. It's just a simple loop. Da 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 da. But immediately, the air changes. The temperature drops. And for the next 4 minutes and 45 seconds, you aren't where you were just a moment ago. You are transported back to the most painful moment of your life. Someone Like You by Adele is not just a pop song. In the history of modern music, it stands as something of an anomaly. It is a song that stopped the world. But why? How did a simple piano ballad, written in 2 days by a 21-year-old girl with a cold, manage to become the universal anthem for human grief? To understand this track, we have to stop treating it like a song on a playlist. We have to treat it like a historical event. We have to look at the specific, brutal heartbreak that birthed it, and the psychology behind why it hurts us so much to listen to it. Because the story of this song isn't actually about Adele. It's about the terrifying realization that love, no matter how strong it was, creates no obligation for the future. Today, I want to tell you the real story behind the song. But I also want to talk about why we, as human beings, are so addicted to music that makes us cry. Chapter 1. The Era of Noise. Let's go back to early 2011. If you remember the music landscape at that time, it was loud. It was the era of party rock anthem. It was Lady Gaga in her Born This Way era. It was Katy Perry. Everything was neon, synthesized, and aggressive. Pop music was designed to numb you. It was designed to make you forget your problems and dance. And then there was Adele. Her second album, 21, is already shaping up to be a monster success. But the early narrative of that album was very different from how it ended. The lead single was Rolling in the Deep. Think about the energy of that song. It's a stomper. It's a war cry. The lyrics are, "Go ahead and sell me out, and I'll lay your ship bare." That is the sound of a woman who is winning the breakup. It is the sound of righteousness. It feels good to sing Rolling in the Deep because it allows you to feel powerful. It allows you to look at your ex and say, "You messed up, and I'm going to make you regret it." Anger is a fantastic stage of grief. It's productive. It's energetic. It keeps you moving forward because you are fueled by spite. But anyone who has been through a serious breakup knows that anger is a finite resource. Eventually, the adrenaline wears off, the quiet sets in, and when the anger fades, you are left with something much harder to deal with. You are left with the reality of the loss. Chapter 2. The Engagement. The turning point for Adele, and the moment that changed pop culture history, happened when she received a piece of news that shattered her protective shell of anger. She found out that the man she had written this album about, the man she believed was the love of her life, hadn't just moved on. He was engaged. I want you to pause and really sit with that specific emotion. It is a very different feeling from a breakup. When you break up, there is often a lingering, unspoken maybe. Maybe we just need time. Maybe we'll grow up and find each other again in a year. The door is closed, but it's not locked. An engagement locks the door and throws away the key. It is a suffocating finality. It forces you to confront the fact that while you were mourning the relationship, he was building a new life. It makes you feel foolish for holding on to hope. Adele described this moment in interviews later. She said she felt emotionally drained. She was exhausted from painting him as the villain. She realized that by demonizing him in her music, she was only telling half the story. She wanted to write a song that acknowledged the truth, that the relationship was real, that it mattered, and that she was genuinely devastated to see it go. This is where the maturity of Someone Like You comes from. It isn't a song about, "I hate you." It's a song about, "I miss you, and I am terrified that I will never find this again." Chapter 3. The Room Where IT Happened. So, how do you turn that devastating feeling into audio? Adele flew to Los Angeles to meet with a songwriter named Dan Wilson. Now, Dan Wilson is a legend. He was the lead singer of Semisonic, but this wasn't a high-pressure, hit-making factory session. The atmosphere was surprisingly unglamorous. Adele was reportedly sick. She had a cold. She was feeling raw and vulnerable. They weren't in a massive, high-tech booth. They were just in a room with a piano. Dan Wilson started playing a simple, arpeggiating piano line. He didn't try to make it fancy. He left it open. He later said that when you're writing a song that emotional, you have to leave space in the music. If you fill the track with too many instruments, there's no room for the listener's feelings. Adele started to sing, and because she was feeling the weight of the news she had just received, the lyrics poured out almost exactly as they appear on the final track. I heard that you're settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. There is no poetry there. There is no metaphor. It is brutal, conversational honesty. It sounds like a voicemail you leave at 3 a.m. and then delete before anyone hears it. They wrote the song in 2 days. I think that is so important to understand. We often think of masterpieces as things that take years to refine. But when you are tapped into a vein of pure, unadulterated grief, the work does itself. The song was already written inside her. She just needed to exhale. They recorded a demo version right there in the studio. Just her voice and the piano. Later on, when the label was putting the album together, they tried to fix it. They thought, okay, this is a great song. Now let's produce it. They tried adding drums. They tried adding a full orchestra. They tried to make it sound like a radio hit. But every time they added something, the magic died. They realized that the magic wasn't in the perfection. It was in the imperfection. If you listen closely to the studio version of Someone Like You, you can hear the mechanics of the room. You can hear the creak of the piano bench. You can hear her taking breaths that are a little too sharp. You can hear the cracks in her voice caused by the cold she had. They decided to release the demo. They stripped away the gloss and gave us the raw file. And that decision is why the song works. It doesn't sound like a performance. It sounds like a confession. Chapter 4. Dissecting the lyrics. Let's look deeper at what she's actually saying, because the psychology of these lyrics is fascinating. The first verse is pure insecurity. I heard that your dreams came true. I guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. This is the comparison trap. It's the darkest part of a breakup, wondering what this new person has that you didn't. Are they funnier? Are they smarter? Did they fix him in a way you couldn't? Then she sings, I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited. This captures the awkwardness of the situation. She knows she shouldn't be there. She knows she is the ex. She has been relegated to the past, but she is forcing herself into his present because she needs closure. But the real gut punch, the line that breaks everyone, is the chorus. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. Think about the tragedy of that statement. On the surface, it sounds hopeful. I'll find someone else. But she doesn't want someone else. She is bargaining. She is saying, I accept that I can't have you, so I will spend the rest of my life searching for a replica of you. It acknowledges that he set the standard. He is the benchmark against which everyone else will be measured. And then the wisdom drops. Sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. That line is the anchor of the whole song. It is a shrug of resignation. It's not fair. It's not right. It is the moment you stop fighting the reality and just let the wave of sadness hit you. Chapter 5. The performance that changed everything. The song was released on the album, and people liked it. But it wasn't a global phenomenon yet. That happened on February 15th, 2011. The Brit Awards. The O2 Arena in London. You have to picture the scene. The O2 is massive. It's loud. The acts performing that night were high-energy pop stars with dancers and pyrotechnics and complex lighting rigs. Then the lights went down. Adele walked out. She was wearing a simple black dress. Her hair was pulled back. There was a piano player, and there was her. That was it. For 4 minutes, that arena filled with thousands of people went dead silent. There is a specific energy that happens when an artist isn't performing, but channeling. You could see it in her eyes. She wasn't singing to the crowd. She was singing to the ghost of the relationship. She kept her eyes closed for a lot of it. She was in her own world. And then, at the very end of the song, the facade cracked. Her voice broke. She stopped singing for a second. She pulled the microphone away and looked up, and you could see the tears welling up in her eyes. She looked genuinely surprised that she had made it through the song. The crowd didn't just clap. They roared. It was a standing ovation that felt different from normal applause. It was a collective release of tension. That clip went viral before going viral was really the dominant thing it is today. It was shared everywhere. It proved something to the music industry. You don't need auto-tune. You don't need a light show. You just need the truth. Chapter 6. The Science of Sadness. So here is the big question. Why do we like this? Why do millions of people voluntarily listen to a song that makes them feel terrible? Psychologists have actually studied this. It's called the paradox of tragedy. Logically, we should avoid pain. But in art, we seek it out. There is a concept called disenfranchised grief. This is grief that society doesn't really have a ritual for. If someone dies, you have a funeral. You wear black. People bring you casseroles. You are allowed to take time off work. But when a relationship ends, you're expected to be at work on Monday. You're expected to get back on the horse. Society tells you it's just a breakup. But scientifically, the brain processes the end of a long-term relationship in the same region that processes physical pain. It hurts just as bad as a broken leg. Someone like you acts as a vessel for that disenfranchised grief. It validates your pain. It says, this is serious. This is tragic. And you are allowed to mourn it. When we see Adele crying on stage, we feel what psychologists call kama muda, a Sanskrit term often translated as being moved by love. It's that warm, fuzzy, tearful feeling you get when you witness genuine vulnerability. The song gives us a safe space to visit our own ghosts. It allows us to open the box of memories, look at them, cry over them, and then put them away again. It is a controlled demolition of our emotions. Chapter 7. A Legacy of Acceptance. Years have passed since that song came out. Adele has lived 1,000 lives since then. She's gotten married. She's gotten divorced. The man that song was written about is now just a footnote in her history. But the song remains. It remains because it captures a moment that we all have to go through. That moment of crossing the threshold from us to me. It is a monument to the death of a future. And I think that is the most important thing to take away from this story. The hardest part of a breakup isn't losing the person as they are now. The hardest part is losing the timeline you had built in your head. You have to grieve the vacations you didn't take. You have to grieve the house you didn't buy. You have to grieve the children you didn't have. Someone Like You is the soundtrack to letting that future go. It reminds us that it is okay to look back and say, that was wonderful, and I am destroyed that it is over. It reminds us that closure is a myth. You don't solve a breakup like a math problem. You just endure it until one day it hurts a little less. I want to leave you with something to think about today. We spend a lot of time trying to avoid sadness. We scroll through our phones. We distract ourselves. We try to stay busy. But songs like this prove that sometimes the only way out is through. You have to sit in the room with the silence. I want to ask you a question, and I really want you to think about it before you answer in the comments. When you think about the heartbreak that shaped you the most to someone like you in your own life, what was the hardest thing to let go of? Was it the person themselves? Or was it the version of yourself that you were when you were with them? Because often, we aren't just missing our exes. We are missing who we used to be. Think about it. And if you're brave enough, share your story below. Because if this song taught us anything, it's that we are never actually as alone in our heartbreak as we think we are. Thanks for watching.